Hello, everyone. Jason Hagholm here, and I am here with someone whose career I've followed from the regional scene to getting a shot in the Contender Series, and now January 22nd, making her UFC debut. It's Jasmine Jasudavicious. Jasmine, how's things going?
Going well. I was just downstairs cooking. I completely forgot that we had an interview, and so ran up here, and here we are.
Well, it's all good. We've got you here now. Hopefully the stove isn't left on so things can burn down while we do this. But you're cooking right now, but you've been cooking obviously in your career. A big performance back in the Contender Series last fall, and now obviously, as I said, making your UFC debut, Jasmine. When you hear that, like, what goes through your head? Because I mean, you've only really been in the game for a short period of time.
Yeah, no, it's honestly crazy. Like after the Contender Series fight, there were so many times that I would just like kind of like sit back and be like, oh shit, like I actually made it in the UFC. Like I'm here. My next fight's in the UFC. I was like, wow. But I've come to terms with it, and I'm just like really, really excited to actually make my debut. And the coolest part about it is that it's actually in the Honda Center now, as opposed to the Apex. Initially, I was booked for the Apex, and so this is like a real debut. Like fans and everything. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I mean, I saw you back in November at the BTC card, and that's kind of when they just announced they moved your fight from the Apex January 15th to the Honda Center now at UC 270. So, I mean, what went through your mind, obviously, when you got that call, and when did you get that call? Because that seemed pretty quick after they originally announced your fight.
Yeah, it came like a month after it was announced, or a couple weeks after, something like that. I was excited. It's the opportunity to fight in front of like a ton of fans or in front of like a very small crew. It's way better to fight with the fans. It's way more hype. It's like, what you really dream of. So I couldn't be happier for a debut like this.
And your opponent, Kay Hansen, obviously someone who is a solid prospect at the women's 125-pound division. I mean, not only do you get the solid debut, you're fighting another tough prospect. I mean, that's got to kind of make it a little bit more sweet. You're fighting someone who you're kind of trying to leapfrog in terms of the eyes of being a top prospect at this division.
Yeah, exactly. Like she already has a name, so I'm looking to steal those fans.
Well, I mean, the way you fight obviously can do that. And, as we talked, you got your contract for fighting on the Contender Series. What was that whole situation like? What was that experience like? Because, the Contender Series up until last season, it kind of been rough for Canadians. But not only do you get your opportunity in there, but you win and become one of the handful of Canadians that got a contract this past season.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's the Contender Series really is kind of like your UFC debut. Like it's really the most important fight of your life, because you don't get a contract after Contender Series. You're back on the regional scene. Like, going from the regional scene to the UFC, it's a huge leap. It's unbelievable the difference. And so yeah, leading up to that fight, it was nerve-wracking. It was but every fight in front of you is the most important fight, and it's the fight of your life kind of thing. So it's all the same.
Well, it was the fight of your life. You went out there, got the win and a contract. What was it like, not only getting a contract, but getting the contract through seeing Dana White and here making the announcement that, you're fighting there? What's the whole experience? Was that your first time being around Dana? And what was it like? Because that seems like kind of a nerve-wracking experience.
Yeah, that's my first time ever being around him, and then having to fight in front of him, it was terrifying. But yeah, it was crazy. I remember walking out after the fight, and he like props me or did a fist pump or something like that, and it was like, oh, good work, kids. So I was like, okay, like this is I think I'm good. I think I'm gonna get the contract. I think he liked it. But there was still a bunch of fights after, so it was super nerve-wracking. But but yeah, that was the first time I ever saw Dana or my first interaction with him. So it was cool. It was really cool.
What did it mean to you when he kind of put you over, saying like, yeah, she's willing, because you told Dana you were willing to fight next weekend or whatever? And I mean, Dana obviously loves fighters like that. And what was it like to hear Dana White kind of say positive things about not only your performance, but that you're one of those fight any Saturday kind of girls?
Yeah, that was nuts. Honestly, like it's all like a whirlwind when you're there. It's like there's no thought that's going on. I feel like my mouth was like working fast, or my brain was working too fast for my mouth to be able to keep up on all the words and everything. Like it was a whirlwind. So just like thinking about it now, it was crazy. Like I was so down to fight, like whatever, 2 weeks after, and I was really hoping to get a fight. Unfortunately, I didn't, but yeah, it was really cool meeting him and like hearing the things that he said to me. Like I just look forward to having a great relationship with him in the future, and like, you know, being able to like joke around and I'm not all nervous around him and stuff.
Well, obviously that takes place in a week or two's now time, to January 22nd, UFC 270. How's camp been going, Jazz? Because obviously you're training still at Niagara Top Team. Now with these new COVID restrictions, have they affected you guys, or because you're an MMA gym, are you guys kind of exempt from it? Because I know, as we were talking before, you are heading down to the States next week.
Yeah, so we're like a little bit exempt, but it's still a pain. Like it still messes things up. Unfortunately, the restrictions didn't get in place until yesterday, or yeah, I think it was yesterday. And we're leaving on Wednesday. We're going to Vegas on Wednesday. So it's not like it will like hinder too much, but yeah, like coming back, it's, you know, who knows what it's going to be like, but it sucks. It's a pain. Like this is honestly really killing MMA in Canada, and I'll at least for sure in Ontario. But yeah, we're making the best of it.
No knock on the doors from police this time.
Not yet.
Not yet, as that's the best way to put it right now. But yeah, I mean, I know you were supposed to be on one of the Fury Grappling shows and tried to get into the States, but you guys got turned away at the border.
Yeah, so we were trying to drive over, and I was able to go over because I have a visa, but Chris, it's like when he's coming to a UFC fight, it's just like under me, he can travel, but they wouldn't let him over for this. Like they were saying, you can go over alone, but you can't bring your coach. Like, okay, so I'm gonna go to a grappling tournament without my coach. Like, come on, let's be realistic here. So unfortunately, yeah, we got turned away.
Well, are they going to try to iron things out to get on one of the next Fury Grappling shows? Because their last one was like one of the most stacked grappling shows I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was dynamite. I watched it. I was so jealous that I wasn't there, but I hope that they put me on another one. I would understand if they wouldn't want to, because like, you know, the risk of that happening again, it kind of puts a damper on their show potentially. So I would understand, but I mean, I'm in the States a lot, so hopefully if they know I'm gonna be there anyways, then they'll put me on the show. Or if all this stuff clears up, then
well, I mean, I think they'll give you another call. I mean, you had a great relationship with them when you fought for CFFC, so they seem to like you. I think hopefully we can get some of that paperwork ironed out, but if you can maybe take part in the other Fury Grappling shows. But obviously you're focused on this fight coming up. And as you said, you're heading to the States, going back to train at Syndicate, where you spent a lot of time before the Contender Series fight, Jazz. And I'm assuming you're going back there. And if so, who are you going to be training with? Because you seem like you've built some relationships there.
Yeah, so it's sweet. When I get there, then all the girls from Syndicate. Honestly, I don't know who's there from out of town right now, if Gion's still there or not. I'm pretty sure she is, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing all the girls down there, like Roxy, Jojo, Gion, like Valerie, Ramona, all of them. I can't wait to just catch up with them. Like it's been a while since I've been down there, so it's gonna be great to see everyone.
Well, a couple more for you here, Jazz. I mean, when I last interacted with you back in November at the BTC card, because obviously, you know, Niagara it was in St. Catharines, your teammates run there. But I saw you at the weigh-ins having a chat with Sarah Kaufman, who was in the main event. I mean, that was kind of like the old guard of Canadian women's MMA versus the new guard. What did you and Sarah chat about, and what advice did she give you or anything? Because that was kind of a cool little photo op I saw you guys have.
Yeah, no, that, you know, it was the first time that I actually met her, but I felt like I kind of knew her from before, just from like being within the circuit. We all knew, like, we both knew the same people and both at Syndicate, and like when I was there, like they would say, "Oh, Sarah, blah blah," because we're both Canadian and all that kind of stuff. So it was the first time that I met her, and she's a sweetie. Like I really like her. We were just talking about getting her hair done. So just talking about the braids. That's it. Nothing. Like, she wasn't telling me some inspiring words or anything like that. But she's cool. She's a cool chick. I like her.
Yeah, I mean, she's got a fight actually next week, I believe in Canada, where that card is. So she's obviously looking to kind of pave out the same thing and get back into the UFC, where you're looking to carve out your own journey. And of course, obviously, Jazz, the big story with you is your friend who you made a bet with that should get your name tattooed on her. And obviously it hasn't happened yet, but I believe after this fight on the 22nd, it's going to happen. I mean, just what a crazy story that's kind of evolved. And I think we're people interested to see when this tattoo happens.
Yeah, so we're gonna get it done after my real debut, like my real first fight in the UFC. So we're gonna get it done, and we're gonna make sure to get it all documented and everything. So it's gonna be a crazy day.
Gonna have to use your social media to record the whole thing and put it out there to know it's valid that it's been done when it's on your Instagram or whatever. And you know, as you have alluded to, I mean, you've spent time at 115 and 125. This debut fights at 125. Is this the weight class you kind of plan on hanging out with for a while in the UFC? Or if, you know, you come away with a victory, would you like to go maybe down to 115? Like, I don't know, you kind of fluctuate so well between the weights.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy at 25 right now, but I'm not against going down to 115. You know, my life outside of fighting is a lot easier at 25. I'm not watching every single little calorie that goes into my mouth. But yeah, I'd fight at 15 again. But right now, I'm fighting at 25, so I'm happy here.
Well, I think 25 is honestly the weight class I think you can do the most damage in. I've been on many shows before saying, before you were signed to the UFC, that you were the best 125 prospect outside of the UFC. That changes in about 2 weeks' time, as you are now a UFC fighter. Jazz, as I wind this down, best of luck. And before I let you go, you know, plug your social media, plug anything that needs to be plugged before your big debut in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. So thank you so much for having me first. And my social media is Jasmine Jasudavicious. I'm not the best on it. I try to do a little bit better, but yeah, I just want to thank all my coaches, training partners, and thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem, Jazz. We'll go back to the cooking that you were doing, focus on that, and, you know, best of luck come the 22nd, because I mean, it's nice to see a fresh Canadian women face in the UFC. A lot of Canadian guys, but you know, someone of your stature, I think it's important for the next breed of the sport in Canada. So best of luck, Jazz, and we'll hopefully chat again soon.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.